Hello, all you daughters and sons out there, and welcome to Undeclared Bajor. This is Undeclared Bajor, the best Star Trek DS9 discussion podcast in the universe.
Wow.
We're just...
Gets better every time.
That's right. The best thing ever in history. My name is Fletcher. About to say hello is Data.
Yo.
Today we're going to discuss Star Trek DS9 Season 6, Episode 3, Sons and Daughters. Alternate title, Alexander and the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad relationship with his father.
Wow. That was nicely done. Okay.
I was like, somebody must have made that joke before, and so I Googled it. I was like, that's got to be out there somewhere, but I couldn't find anybody else using that, so.
Okay.
I claim it.
Yep.
I claim it in the name of Undeclared Bajor.
Officially registered by Fletcher.
Right. We will be discussing spoilers up through this episode, but not after this episode. So it should be safe to watch along with us if this is your first experience with Star Trek DS9, but we will also spoil books, TV shows, or movies, or video games, or real-life events, or whatever, not related to Star Trek DS9. So make sure, just steel yourself.
Yeah, like World War II, we won.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
Yeah, the Allies won. Just in case that's not... I did not personally fight in...
No, yeah, personally,
World
Undeclared Bajor, the best podcast of all time ever, won the war.
Yeah, I mean, philosophically, Undeclared Bajor is definitely responsible for the Allied victory in World War II.
Yeah.
But, and for, ending the horrible atrocities and all that stuff.
Right.
But, it's... If you look at a more literal level, it's not as easy to see. So I'm just,
No one wants to do that anyway.
Right.
Literal.
Anyway, Sons and Daughters originally aired October 13th, 1997. It was written by one of our favorite duos, Bradley Thompson and David Weddle. There we go.
There you go. It took a while for you to get it out, but you got it there.
Yep. And directed by Jesus Salvador Trevino.
Yep, we've seen him once before.
Definitely the coolest name on the director roster.
Yep.
I think.
But I don't know. You got what's his name? Kate Mulgrew's husband. He's pretty cool.
Vinrich Kolbe.
Yeah.
Vinrich Kolbe.
It's not her husband. It's the guy that she cheated on her husband with.
Oh, right. Yeah. But Jesus is from El Paso, Texas. So
oh, nice. Oh, yeah.
He has that going for him.
I'm sure we talked about that before.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. So we catch up with Worf and Dax in the middle of getting it on in the time-honored storytelling technique, in medias getting it on. But it's blue balls time for the couple as the Rotarn is arriving at Starbase 375, and Dax needs to get off the ship and also out of the episode. But first, Worf brings up the subject of presenting her, and I quote, duck tang, to Martok to request entry into the House of Martok. So, I don't know what part of the duck is the tang, but you got to present that to Martok.
It's just...
He said duck tang.
The accent. Yeah, well.
Duck tang, ooh.
Like the drink tang?
Oh, is that where tang comes from? Does it come from ducks?
Maybe. That would explain a lot.
Duck tang. At first, Dax plays like she doesn't want to join the House of Martok, much to Worf's horror. But then she says she was just joking, and I'm not sure if she was or not. And I'm just like, boy, being married to Worf better be worth it. This guy is as high maintenance as they come.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong, Walter.
They arrive at the starbase. O'Brien and Bashir are glad to be getting off the Klingon ship with all its gach and singing. Sisko thanks General Martok for rescuing them and bets him a barrel of blood wine that he'll set foot on Deep Space Nine before Martok does. What happened to Kevin is not explained. Maybe they dropped him off at a POW camp or something.
They spaced him. It's fine. Nobody would mind. Like, the Klingons probably don't have, like, a brig or anything. That seems more their style to just kill you, so...
yeah.
That's a good question. What happened?
Maybe we'll never know.
The world may never know.
But with the Starfleet characters gone, Worf informs Martok that replacements have arrived, although only 5 instead of the requested 15.
Well, that's good, because it would take a long time to introduce 15 new characters.
Right. So we would have to put 15 guys in Klingon makeup. Martok introduces himself to the new crew members and gives them a little speech, and while he does, Worf seems to recognize one of the new guys. And we soon learn why.
Honestly, he should recognize the second of the new people. I don't know if you noticed, but...
Is that the son of Ch'pak?
Yes, the son of Ch'pak.
I was like, is that the same Ch'pak that tried to frame Worf for war crimes?
Right? It's like, I feel like you should pay attention to this, Worf.
I don't know if Ch'pak is like a common name, or...
I guess it could be.
I don't know. Yeah, but I did notice that my second time through the episode when I was writing my notes. I was like, Ch'pak?
Wait a second.
Yeah. So, okay, look, on this ship, we fight real battles against, real ships. We don't set up fake holograms and simulate stuff and then frame people for stuff. I don't know what your father told you.
Right, yeah. I wonder what that guy's up to. I mean, he's just lawyering during that the last war, so maybe he's continuing that.
He's off in that glorious legal battlefield. I don't know. Things might not have gone so well for him after he kind of flubbed the whole framing Worf thing. So
yeah, maybe his son is here to regain his family honor.
Oh, yeah.
This is like a whole other story that we don't actually get to see in this episode, but it's like this guy is desperate to like redeem his family.
Yeah, the fall and redemption of the House of Ch'pak.
Or he's here to like kill Worf for what Worf did to his family.
Ooh,
and it's like all
he just never gets the opportunity.
Right, yeah. He keeps trying and he keeps missing and we don't even see it happening.
It's like... That'd be funny if he's just constantly looming in the background, pulling up a knife, and then Worf walks off. He's like, ah.
Or it's like Martok walks in, and he has to pretend that he's like scratching the back of his head as he's raising the knife to murder Worf.
But yeah, all these Klingon guys, including the son of Ch'pak, go down the line introducing themselves as so-and-so, son or daughter of so-and-so. So, hey, is that a little thematic nod to the episode?
Oh my gosh, I had no idea.
And the last of the new replacements introduces himself as Alexander Roshenko of No House, because his father's house was destroyed and his father erased his uncle's memory and then just seemed to forget that he existed.
Yep. Martok is going to bring up later, it's like, how did you not tell me you had a son? But apparently he also never told him that like he grew up named Roshenko, or else Martok would have made this connection. So I'm not sure how much like conversation about their lives they have, these two.
Right. This guy that Martok brought into his own house. But yeah, Martok asks, who's this Alexander guy? And then Worf says, he's my son. You may have seen him in the classic Next Gen episode, A Fistful of Datas.
I knew that it was going to be a fistful of datas, yep.
Anytime I think of Alexander, that's all I think about. I don't know why.
He's wearing the cowboy hat.
Yeah, all I can think of is little Alexander in his little cowboy outfit.
Yeah, apparently, like, obviously this guy is a lot older than Alexander should be at this point. And fans, being Star Trek fans, have, like, commented on this. But,
right.
They say that, there's reasons that they decided to go this way. Irish Bear's like, yeah, we took some liberties with his age, really for practical reasons, like, first of all, there's really strict laws about how long actors under 18 can stay on set.
Mm-hmm.
And basically with all the time that's needed to put on the makeup and take off the makeup, like the shooting schedule would have been really crazy to try to have him in the episode as much as he's supposed to be if he was under 18. So,
I mean, I just assume this is the Star Trek universe and he got caught in a time warp or something like that.
I like the other note that if the actor was very young, Worf could be seen as abusive. But with an older character, Worf's parenting becomes, at worst, harsh.
All right.
And then Bradley Thompson goes, I mean, we don't know how quickly Klingon children grow. And then that's actually, I think after this, at some point that is introduced into canon that like Klingon children reach maturity way faster than human children.
Sure. Whatever, I'm willing to roll with it. I like my time warp theory better, but...
Well, come on. They would never do an episode where a main character's child, like, aged rapidly in a time warp, and they just had to deal with the ramifications of that. It'd be messed up.
Yeah, they'd never do messed up stuff like that on Star Trek.
No.
I just wanted them to be like, hey, Alexander, you want to come have your memory erased?
I mean, I feel like that's practically the kind of, the Worf's like, hey, if you're not happy with how your childhood went, why don't we erase your memory?
Right.
That
It's
always
like,
works.
Don't even just be like, hey, you want to meet my friend, Dr. Bashir?
Who's perfectly happy to erase people's memory without their consent and stuff.
Meanwhile, at Deep Space Nine, ominous music plays, indicating that the station is still under Dominion occupation.
In case you weren't sure.
Right.
That would have been amazing. Like, off-screen, we come back, and the Federation has it again.
It's like, oh, wow, so glad that occupation is over.
How weird was that? Man, can you believe that Dukat, like, exploded or something?
It's like, man, that was a freebie. Odo and Kira plot their new resistance movement in a bar crowded with Dominion and Cardassian soldiers.
Yeah, I mean, they make some choices throughout.
Jake comes up and pulls up a backwards chair to jam with them and asks if he can join their resistance cell. Odo makes a mental note that their OPSEC protocols might need some upgrading.
Yeah, Jake's just like, I hear things from people.
Uh-huh.
If you want to join the resistance cell, then we're really going to need to know
Right.
who knows about it.
It's like, who have they told besides each other at this point?
It's an excellent question. Well, I mean, they make all their plans in a crowded bar.
Right.
So practically everybody.
But Quark interrupts them and says that Dukat is here and Kira has to go meet him. And shouldn't Kira be wearing her dress uniform? Which I totally forgot they even had a dress uniform.
Right?
Because I think we've only seen it like one time.
Yeah, the Bajoran dress uniform, I think, has happened exactly once up to this point.
Then Quark advises Jake not to get involved in the resistance and offers him a job as a waiter.
Which he does not take.
Like, reporter is not going to work out. I don't think you want to get involved in this, like, underground resistance stuff. Wait tables. It's fun.
It's honest work. You can get some of that latinum that you don't
Right.
have, apparently.
You come home from work every day with big pocketfuls of Latinum singles. At the airlock, Kira meets Dukat and Damar, but there's a pleasant surprise. Zial is back from college. And they're like, let's all have dinner tonight and catch up. Okay, bye. Before Kira can say anything.
Yeah.
Martok informs Worf of their new mission. The Rotaran is to single-handedly guard a convoy flying to Danatu 5. The last 3 convoys going to that got destroyed by Jem'Hadar, so should be fun.
Because they didn't have even one ship to help them. But now,
Right.
this one ship should solve it.
We're gonna slightly up the game here. Worf promises to train the crew until they have the reflexes of a Norpin Falcon.
And Martok's just like, yeah, duh. Like,
Yeah.
that's what we do.
Norpin Falcon is my bare minimum
Yeah.
for how I want those reflexes.
Standard operating procedure is called Norpin Falcon procedure for a reason.
Right. Then Martok calls out Worf for never telling him he had a son, which we mentioned. Worf explains that Alexander was always kind of lame and annoying, and the fans didn't really like him, so we just kind of pretend that he doesn't exist. And, Martok encourages Worf to reunite with Alexander, as it's not healthy for a father and son to not speak. So Worf invites Alexander to his quarters and asks him what he's doing here, pretending to be a warrior. I mean, I think we all know you're kind of a dweeb, so what's the game? And don't expect any special treatment. I'm going to demand twice as much from you as everybody else.
Which is a form of special treatment.
Right. And also, good luck expecting twice as much from him as everybody else. Kira goes to Zial's quarters to tell her she won't be coming to dinner tonight. It's because of my father, isn't it? Says Zial. Yes it is, says Kira.
Got it in one.
Yeah, you are on it. You are observant. Kira wants to know why Zial came back to the station from college, and Zial reveals that everybody at the university was nice, but, there was always whispers. And then Kira's like, well, wait, didn't Dukat more or less disown you when you wouldn't join him on his Dominion-backed coup on Cardassia? And then didn't he say something like, stay here and be damned?
That's the thing that happened, yeah.
Well, yeah, but nobody's perfect. Everybody deserves a second chance, or in the case of my father, like 26 chance.
Yeah. 1, 2, 26. It's all
right.
It's the same.
Then she begs Kira to reconsider dinner. She was hoping to break some big news. Oh God, you're not marrying Garrick, are you? Thinks Kira.
She's pregnant.
You're not carrying Garrick's baby, are you? But she's like, okay, I'll come to dinner. Alexander has lunch in the Rotaran mess hall, where the other Klingons quickly start razzing him, pouring unwanted grapok sauce on his food and such.
Yeah, I hate it when people do that.
Yeah.
It's like, I said I don't want grapok sauce, okay?
Yeah, come on. Although, I gotta admit, a glass of root beer with a nice big dip of ice cream sounds pretty good. It's like, if he would have offered me that, I'd be like, yes!
These
Let's
Klingons
all have
are talking
that.
shit, and it's like, have you ever tried?
Yeah. That'd be great if the next scene was just everybody eating root beer floats, and they're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, like Alexander's passing them out, and it's like when Worf tried prune juice that one time. He's like, oh, wow.
He's like, eat a couple of bites, and then drink the really creamy root beer froth. You should try it like that. This is way better than Gach. But yeah, eventually Alexander gets fed up with all the making fun and throws his lunch at the mean Klingon's face. And a knife fight ensues.
As it happens on Klingon ships.
Yeah, this is pretty standard Klingon ship mess hall stuff. But Worf comes in and breaks it up. Alexander is upset at Worf for interfering, and the mean Klingon, Chick Targ, or whatever his name is, asks if Worf is going to fight the Jem'Hadar for him as well.
I mean, we'll all probably be fighting the Jem'Hadar. But...
Right, yeah. Unless, like, the Jem'Hadar, beam onto the ship, I think it's going to be kind of a team effort. At dinner, Ziyal shows Dukat and Kira some drawings she has been working on. Kira is impressed and says they remind her of the work of a famous Bajoran artist. But Dukat says they remind him of a famous Cardassian artist. Ziyal says that as a matter of fact, the director of the Cardassian Institute of Art, or CIA, agrees and might be interested in putting some of her drawings in a show.
They should have just gone with that. It's like, yeah, the director of the CIA agrees with you. And, never explain. It's like everyone understands what that acronym is, right?
Yeah, the Cardassian Institute of Art, that's top notch. Everybody, you don't even have to say it out. CIA, everybody knows.
Yeah.
But she wants to use this opportunity to show people through her art how Cardassians and Bajorans can see things in the same way. And at the mention of that, Dukat and Kira both get really awkward. But when Ziyal leaves to go get dessert, Dukat and Kira share a moment of happiness over Ziyal's progress. Worf and Martok hang out and drink Warnog, and Martok asks what was going on in that brawl in the mess hall. Worf says Chitarg would have killed Alexander, but Martok just thinks he would have cut him up and broken a few bones.
Yeah, that's how you learn, really.
And Martok says Alexander is trying to live the warrior life, and Worf isn't doing him any favors by shielding him from the realities of that. Then they get a call to the bridge. Alexander reports that they've encountered a Jem'Hadar ship, but for some reason it's not showing up on the screens. Alexander reports that the Jem'Hadar have launched torpedoes, but after a few tense seconds it's clear that the torpedoes aren't coming. Worf does a little investigating and finds that Alexander forgot to erase the battle simulation from the sensor display. And so the crew starts making fun of Alexander again, but at least this time Alexander is laughing along.
At least you're keeping us on our toes, kid. Honestly, I think that they take it pretty well, all things considered. Most of them are just they laugh it off and they're like, hey, you know what? For Klingons, they're nice about it.
Yeah. And, they had a nice little fun, fake battle moment, so. But yeah, Worf isn't happy to see Alexander being the ship's fool. In the wardroom on Terok Space 9, Dukat wraps up a speech about a new gift of industrial replicators to Bajor.
Those Bajorans in the room are like, yeah, we have industrial replicators. There we go.
We love industrial replicators.
The Federation never gave us 15.
It's like, it was all we could do to get 4 that one time.
Yeah. The Maquis stole a bunch. Even the Maquis got more than us.
Well, didn't Kai Wynn try to bogart them that one time?
Oh, no, those were the soil reclamators.
Oh, you're right. Totally different. Dukat takes Kira's side and tells her the CIA has decided to show 3 of Ziyal's drawings. And he invites Kira to a celebration, unless he's busy later. Kira says, "Ah, the busy life of an interstellar despot," and Dukat starts laughing, and then the scene abruptly ends.
Yeah, that's because there's a deleted scene there.
Ah.
That was filmed but cut, and so there's some detailed notes about that in here. So, Kira calls him an interstellar despot. He retorts that he prefers the term tyrant, and then they have a nice laugh, and then Dukat says that he was going to assign Damar to escort Zial to the opening of the exhibit, and then Kira says he's a self-righteous sycophant who despises everything Bajoran, and then she points out that when he just says the word Bajoran, he sneers every time. And Dukat's like, no, he doesn't. And then Damar walks in and gives a report, and every time he says the word Bajoran, he sneers. And then Kira and Dukat start laughing at him. And then, Dukat does an impression of Damar saying Bajoran and sneering, and they have a laugh together.
Wow, this is quite a long scene.
Yeah, and so that's showing, so I guess supposed to be showing them kind of
Sure.
how Zial is bringing them closer together or whatever.
Right.
And so, but the funniest part to me is that Casey Biggs, who plays Damar, took that and went with it. He started playing it in the episodes that get the next 2 or 3 episodes. He's making this a consistent character trait. And then at that point finds out that, that scene didn't even make it in the episode. And so he's like, man, here I was trying to do this nice little character piece for the show, and no one had any idea what I was doing.
I mean, it can still add to your performance. It doesn't need to be called out in a scene. But yeah, the just having them laugh and then scene over, that also works. Worf does some sword practice with Alexander, but Alexander is pretty not good.
Well, and Worf is kind of a shitty teacher.
Yeah.
Because Alexander does something wrong, and Worf's just like, no, don't do that. Right. What did I tell you? And he starts yelling at him, and I'm like, dude, just chill.
Yeah. Alexander says Worf must be pleased to tell him how much he sucks as a Klingon. Worf says if he doesn't get good, he'll die. And Alexander says, well, at least you'll be happy.
It's very teenager sort of dialogue.
Damar shows up at Kira's quarters to deliver... Okay, so now this scene makes a lot more sense. Because, Damar shows up at Kira's quarters to deliver a gift from Gul Dukat. And he's like, you seem to really think you'd enjoy me delivering this to you. And I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, it's a pretty dress, which at first Kira admires, but then she's like, what the hell am I doing? So she storms over to Dukat's quarters and returns the dress and tells Dukat she doesn't like him and doesn't want anything to do with him. Dukat says Zial will be upset, and Kira is basically like, well, that's life, and leaves.
People get upset sometimes. What can you do?
Right.
So the note in here, and there's always a note when we have a Kira and Dukat moment in some episodes where it's this is part of that evolving relationship between Kira and Dukat, where it's sometimes they're getting along better and sometimes they're getting along worse. It's Dukat's efforts win her over here to win her over here are briefly successful until Kira steps back and realizes what she's doing, ultimately deciding she wants nothing to do with him.
Yep. But yeah, then Dukat gives the dress to Zial, who's like, oh, you're so thoughtful. And then my favorite line delivery of the episode, I try, says Dukat. It's
a little creepy that, he bought this to try to hit on Kira, basically. And he's like, man, I want her to wear something hot to this party so that I can sleaze on her some more. And then he's like, it's for you, daughter.
Uh-huh. But I think if you get into Dukat's head, it's not even creepy. It's just manipulative and opportunistic.
Yeah.
Because that's the way he thinks. He's like, well, I didn't win over Kira, but I can score some points with Zial, so.
I want to point out once again that in a society where you can literally get anything out of the replicator, a special dress that gets sent to you or brought to you by your father does not seem like it would have much meaning to me. It's
well, he
this
picked
was
it out.
Replicator pattern 151, size U.
Yeah, but So Alexander keeps up his sword practice, and then Martok comes in to check on him. He asks Alexander why he's here. Alexander says he's here to be a warrior, but Martok doesn't believe him. Alexander says he'd rather not say, which annoys Martok. And then Alexander says he just wants a chance to prove himself, but Martok calls him out that he just gave him a chance and he didn't take it. And he informs Alexander that Worf has transferred him off the ship.
To one of those ships that is completely defenseless and is like the convoys keep getting blown up, but I'm sure Alexander will be safer over there.
Sure. So Alexander goes to Worf and throws a dagger in front of him, saying if he wants him off the ship, he'll have to kill him. And then he calls out Worf for abandoning him and pretending that he doesn't exist, which he absolutely did.
Yep.
And these words seem to cut Worf. Then a battle breaks out. They take a hit, and a plasma leak breaks out on Deck 5.
It's a for real battle this time.
Right. Yeah, Alexander wasn't manning the sensors, so we know it's real. Alexander volunteers to go fix the plasma leak, and Jatarg volunteers to help him.
Oh, but that's after Alexander gets like an exploding console to the face and just shakes it off. I was impressed.
Yeah. Those exploding consoles can really mess you up, as we saw last episode. So
yeah. I mean, really, that may be the most valuable like skill you can have on a starship is being like exploding console resistant.
Yeah, Martok should have been like, did you see how he took that explosion to the face? I've never seen someone take one that good.
Yeah.
Well, what did Rocky say? It's not how hard you can shoot your torpedoes. It's how hard you can take an explosion to the face and keep moving forward.
That does sound like Rocky, you know.
But, yeah, under Martok's leadership, the Rotaran pulls off some snazzy maneuvers and takes out the Jem'Hadar attackers.
The snazzy maneuver of, like, stop suddenly and let them go past us.
Right.
I feel like that this should be something that they would expect. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, the elite Jem'Hadar, you would think might not fall for this, but, I don't know. Worf goes to check on Alexander, and it seems that they fixed the leak, but Alexander accidentally locked himself in a corridor when he was putting away some tools.
That when they get the door open, it appears to be like on fire.
Right.
So I was like, okay, this sounds more serious or looks more serious than you made it sound, guy.
It's like, was it on fire when he locked himself in there, or is that just some more like, did he try to open the door and just everything got on fire?
Get to the fire door. It's on fire.
It's just painted on. So yeah, anyway, but Worf is still proud of his son, I think. I'm a little fuzzy on how I'm supposed to read that scene. Ziel finds Kira and asks why she didn't come to the art show party thing. And Kira says, you know why.
I hate your dad.
Right.
Like, what more do you need to understand?
Ziel begs her not to make her choose between her and Dukat. And Kira says, I'm not. I know it's no contest. You have to pick your father. And walks off.
Yeah, even though he, like, has never done right by you in your life. And, like, I'm the one who stopped him from murdering you when you first met. But whatever.
Well, he didn't murder her that one time. So, you know, that's kind of good fathering. So,
Irish Stephen Bear says about Zial in this episode, we set out in this arc to make her the pure innocent, to make the audience invest emotion in that innocence. I don't know, like, it's not like she's never been around before. I feel like she's a little too naive.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, I read it as, like, willful optimism, you know?
Oh, okay.
She spent a lot of her years in that horrible Breen slave camp, and then she's been to Cardassia and seen what that's like, and she's been to Bajor and been an outcast. And she's like, you know what? I see some good in the world, and I want to use my art to kind of show everybody that vision that I have, or whatever.
Hopefully she never discusses, like, her boyfriend Garrick with her dad.
Right. Or whatever is going on in that relationship.
Whatever that is.
So, I don't know. For me, it kind of worked. I thought it was kind of charming. But so Worf and Alexander have a talk where they agree that Worf will teach Alexander how to be a warrior, and Alexander will teach him how to be a father. Then Worf, Alexander, and Martok do a big candlelit hand-cutting ritual, and Martok welcomes Alexander, son of Worf, to the house of Martok. Oh, is that what we were doing? Says Alexander. I thought I was just proving I wasn't a changeling. That too.
It can be both things, yeah.
Right.
So, this scene, there's 25 seconds of this scene pulled out of the episode by the British Board of Film Classification.
Did somebody's neck snap?
Yeah, I was going to say, we've seen them get involved before with a neck snap, but no, this is even more insane to me. So, what happens in the edited version is that, like, Martok cuts his hand and like lets the blood drip in the chalice, and then it cuts to like him pouring some blood wine in, instead of like in the actual episode where he like Alexander and Worf also cut themselves and put blood in the chalice.
Okay.
And the reason for this, although I like how this notes, there's no visual evidence in the edit, but if you listen closely, you can hear a slight jump in the music key at the moment of the cut.
Huh.
So, but the reason they gave for this is because the show was aimed primarily at teenagers, which, pause, I didn't know that, but okay. Resume. They felt that a scene in which two characters mix blood could encourage viewers to do likewise, hence increasing the risk of HIV transfer.
Uh-huh. So it's aimed at teenagers, and I guess if teenagers see some people mixing blood on TV, they'll give each other HIV.
Right, exactly.
Okay, sure. Why not? British Film Board or whatever.
And the one other note here is that apparently, I don't know, Ira Stephenberg is watching TV again or something, because this episode is based on the 1950 John Ford film Rio Grande.
Ooh.
The film is about a fort commander who discovers that one of his new recruits is his son, whom he has not seen since he divorced the boy's mother years ago. The son hates the father, but they must work together.
So, wait, did you see it? You say this was directly inspired, or is this one of those things where Memory Alpha just noted the similarity?
It says the episode is based on.
Okay.
Oh, and it quotes it uses as a source the Star Trek Deep Space Nine companion, but the page number is question mark. So.
So I read it in there somewhere, whatever. I guess that kind of makes sense. This is a Bradley Thompson, David Weddle project, so...
Apparently, the film Rio Grande stars John Wayne and Maureen O'Hara.
Nice.
So, there you go. I assume John Wayne is the dad.
Right. Or maybe he's playing the son, who knows.
He plays Lieutenant Colonel Kirby York. And Trooper Jefferson York, played by Claude Jarmon Jr., is one of his 18 new recruits. After failing mathematics and flunking out of West Point, he immediately enlisted as a private in the Army.
Huh.
All right, then. That doesn't make it sound... He is feeling a little Alexander-ish, I think.
Yeah.
Here.
Yep. Although, I mean, at least the thing that guy was bad at is math. You know, we don't know if his soldiering is any good or not.
Well, you got math to be a soldier, obviously.
True. That's what I've been told. So, okay. Jump into reviews.
Okay, what do you think of Sons and Daughter?
Well, all right. Here's my... I wrote down some stuff. So, I like the overall concept of the episode of taking Alexander and Zial, who have these very complicated legacies, both culturally and because of who their parents are, and exploring how they deal with all that. With Zial trying to bridge the two parts of her heritage and to find the good in her father, and then Alexander just trying to commit to something, like commit to the Klingon life, just so he'll have somewhere he can belong. But I don't know. I just really don't feel like it takes any of it in very far in any really interesting directions. I think I like the Zial part more than the Alexander part, because I at least liked the Kira arc where she kind of realized that, like, hey, my affection for Zial is really, you know, even though I really like care for her, it's kind of leading me down a toxic path or whatever.
Yeah.
And so she makes the really hard and kind of mature decision to be like, you know what, I got to cut this off right here. So I think that was my favorite aspect of it. Kind of severing that for hers and Zial's own good. But the Alexander story, I just didn't feel there was anything very special about it. And it just felt kind of like the writers were saying, it's like, oh shoot, we forgot about Alexander. Let's do something with him.
Yeah.
And it just kind of felt like they thought they could get free points for like showing a strained father-son relationship, even if they didn't do much with it. But I mean, we've seen this a million times, even on Star Trek. So I'm just like, I don't know. Like, what are you giving me out of this? You know, I don't really feel like I saw Worf really grow that much.
No.
Beyond just being like I don't know, realizing he'd been kind of a dick to his son, or I did like the character of Alexander, and I like how he was portrayed, and like the actor who played him, where he plays it really good, where you can tell it's this guy and he's just trying real hard to do it. And I don't know, he kind of like, has this perseverance to him and everything. And he kind of knows what he wants and what he wants to get out of things, even if maybe he's not, I don't know, fully ready to, like in that scene with Martok, like admit that. But I do like that. But overall, the story, I was just like, and I thought it was also kind of a little boring. So, I mean, overall, so I'd say it's a good episode, but I don't even think I can get it as high as Commander. I think I have to put it at Lieutenant Commander.
Okay.
So, what do you think?
Okay. So I will agree that I like the concept of doing a show about Alexander and Zial.
Uh-huh.
Since we're split between the two sides of the show in the last few episodes anyway, then that's a cool like parallel to set up, and you call it sons and daughters, and it works. But that's as far as I can go, I think, with things that I liked.
Uh-huh.
I like to touch on some of the stuff you said. Like, I don't even like the way that he plays Alexander very much. I feel like he felt very monotone, and like he was reading the lines off a script or something. Like I didn't feel the emotion from him most of the time, and I also think that Zial she's just going too far in like trying to believe in her father, and this idea that she's going to make Kira and her father be friends. I was just like, have you been around at all before now? I don't understand why you think this is going to work. And then it doesn't. And she doesn't even seem that surprised about it, which that's the believable part to me, because it's like, yeah, you knew that it wasn't going to work.
Right.
But I feel like we just had a much more interesting story for Kira, where she is lulled into this going along with things, and then comes that realization of like, what am I doing? I can't do this. This feels like a half-assed version of that just happened in the last episode to me. It's a little more personal because it's about her and Dukat specifically, but it still feels like a very similar story to the story we just did with her.
Yeah.
So in that way, I feel like we're spinning our wheels on the station portion of the story, which I don't appreciate particularly. Worf is, I think, the only thing that I have positive to say about the Alexander story is I think Martok does a good job of trying to. He's the commander of the ship. So all the stuff that's happening is important and is on some level his responsibility, but he's also friends with Worf, and so he's trying to like make things work without like getting his hand too directly involved. So I feel like he's trying to balance it, and I felt that from it. I felt like he's doing a good job of being a commander here and doing the best that he can. It's just that these two other people are, as he points out, super stubborn and aren't interested in listening or following his advice. Like, his advice to Worf is like, you need to talk to your son, and Worf immediately tries to like yell at Alexander some, and then walks away after 5 seconds when it doesn't work. So Worf is a crappy dad. And he, even on Next Generation, when they tried to build this relationship, he was never like a great dad. And apparently since then, he just hasn't spoken to his son for 5 years. So he's just like a super crappy dad.
And there's no reason for him to have not done that.
No.
Right? He's not disgraced on Earth or anything.
Right, yeah. And it's not like it's hard to call. You can call home and be like, hey, how's it going? Or send a message. Like, you can exchange the equivalent of letters with your son, where you're sending messages like, hey, this is what's going on here. Just got stationed to this new place. How are things there? But no, Worf just ignores it. And Alexander calls him out. It's like, I wasn't the son you wanted, so you pretended that I didn't exist, while claiming that you were accepting me.
Yeah.
And you said when you were talking that, like, it doesn't feel like Worf really grew much. And I absolutely feel like he doesn't grow at all, because you get this, him like, oh, I'm going to be a father now, except he's now going to be a father and teach Alexander how to be a warrior. The thing that he wanted, and that when Alexander didn't do it, he decided not to speak to him for 5 years. Well, now that Alexander's going to do the thing he wanted in the first place, now he'll be a dad, because you're going along with it. That feels like just continuing the crappy fatherhood that he's already been doing up till now, because it's clear that Alexander is not good at this, and he can work hard and improve, but he's not naturally inclined for this, and he's not going to ever be really great at it. So they could have made him learn a lesson at the end. There could have been a scene where he's like, look, if you want to stay on the ship, I will support you. I will work with you. I don't think you're going to be great at this. If you want to do something else, I will support you with that too. And we're not going to have that disconnect again. I promise. And then Alexander's like, well, we'll see about that, because that's what he says. He's like, we'll see. And so, well, we'll see when you're on the same ship as him, and doing what he wanted you to do in the first place. It's not hard for him to put in the work to try to be a slightly less crappy dad. We never ask Alexander, what is your passion? If you weren't here just trying to impress your dad and be what you think he wanted you to be, what would you want to do? How can we support you in that? It's like, no, you be a warrior because you're a Klingon and that's what your dad wants, and then it's okay. So that actually really pissed me off at the end of the episode. I didn't even remember this that well, but I was just angry at the end. Like, what, this is the happy resolution where we're supposed to be seeing his character growth? No. So, this episode makes me mad on both ends of the scale. Less so, I guess I could say that I like the Ziyal part slightly better. It's just that it makes me slightly less unhappy. So, yeah, there's very, very little good that I have to say about this episode. So, for me, it's really more a question is it bad on the level of, the storyteller or whatever, where I'm going to put it at an ensign. And I don't know that it's comically bad like that. So I think I'm going to give it a Lieutenant Junior grade, but it's real close to dropping all the way for me.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, you make a good point that the Kira story might have been better if it was mixed with last week's story. Where, not only is she becoming complacent with her role on the station, but also, at the same time, she's kind of being seduced by her affection to Ziyal to kind of overlook the horribleness of Dukat or something. Yeah, that might have been better as a one big thing instead of, you're right, it does kind of feel like a repeated character beat a little bit. And for Alexander, I don't know, maybe Worf is just gonna, like you kind of do with a kid or whatever, when they're really into something or they think they're into something, but you don't want to discourage them, even though it's clear that it's not right for them. So you just be like, all right, we'll see how this plays out. And if I see any opportunities to show you, to maybe divert you towards, I'll try to do that or something like that.
Yeah, I could see that if there had ever been any indication that this is what Alexander wants, except it's clear. And Martok knows it. That's why Martok gives him the opportunity to say why he's really here, because he wants to be the person his dad always wanted him to be or something. That's what Martok's looking for, because that's the truth. And so, I don't feel like Alexander's into it. I feel like Alexander's doing it for his dad, and his dad is magnanimous enough to accept it.
Right. Yeah, I think maybe what's missing is a real heart-to-heart scene between Alexander and Worf.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's he's like, hey, are you doing this for my approval? Because, I don't need you to be this to approve of you or whatever.
Right, yeah. Something like that.
And then maybe Alexander could say, I really want to try this Klingon stuff. I want to make an honest run at this Klingon stuff. And then, it would feel, a little bit less weird. Yeah, I think there's definitely a little bit of a missing moment in just, having the Worf almost begrudgingly, accept his son. Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't very satisfying.
You don't ever get that feeling of, parental unconditional love for child.
Uh-huh.
Worf is pissy the whole episode, and then at the end is, slightly less pissy.
Right. Oh yeah, title review.
I think the title is very appropriate for the episode.
Sure.
Maybe even clever. I'm not sure I'd go quite that far, but maybe.
I mean, there's only one son and one daughter, but...
well, I mean, if you count
unless,
all the Klingons...
everybody's a son and a daughter.
Well, the Klingons are like, I'm son of so-and-so and daughter of so-and-so in that one scene, so...
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
So, yeah. Memorable... Yeah, I guess.
I think memorability is kind of where it fails, because...
I'm trying to think of what other episode I remember that I might think, oh, that could be Sons and Daughters, and I'm not sure that I can think of one off the top of my head.
Yeah, for some reason it kept reminding me of the Kira one with her two fathers, Ties of Blood and Water.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
I don't think there's any sons in that one.
Yeah, but I don't know, it just made me think of that.
Although speaking of sons, I want to see the return of Martok's idiot kid who Worf embarrassed that one time when Martok was a changeling.
Oh, that guy's long dead.
It's entirely possible, yeah.
The Jem'Hadar killed him.
Martok comes home from being in a prison camp and finds out that the Jem'Hadar murdered his son because his son didn't have his knife that Worf stole from him or whatever.
Or it's he died in a bar fight or something, and Martok's yeah, that makes sense.
He's yeah, that sounds right, actually. Okay. I mean, Martok may have a lot of kids. Who knows?
Yeah. Okay, so there's this bit I've kind of been wanting to experiment with, and since we got a little bit ahead of time right now. So, okay, so we rate the episodes based on ranking, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking, what if we gave the episodes uniform colors?
Oh, so interesting.
A red, a gold, or a blue episode. But I don't know.
I mean, this one's clearly a Klingon uniform. I don't.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you had to pick a Starfleet one, maybe gold. Worf was in a gold uniform for a long time.
Yeah. What would you think of the first two episodes of this season?
Okay, let's think. I mean, you got the sneaky disguised ship one for the first episode. I don't that's one of those uniforms that that time Picard and Worf and Crusher sneak onto the Cardassian planet and they're wearing those black onesie things. That's what that uniform feels like to me. I don't know that it feels like a color.
Yeah.
The second one, maybe blue. The Doctor is an important aspect of that one.
I don't know. I felt like the second one was definitely a Sisko heavy one.
Yeah, that's true.
So it might be a red, but
okay.
I don't know. Maybe we might play with that concept a little bit more. See if we can tease something out of it. But so anything else? Are you ready to wrap it up there?
No, I'm good.
All right. So that's our discussion of Sons and Daughters. Thanks for listening. If you like that one, maybe you'll like our discussion of Sons of Moog, which you can find wherever you're listening to this.
No, you're not going to like that one. It's fine.
You won't enjoy the discussion if you like the episode.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Or what was that last Klingon episode we had? Soldiers of the Empire?
Uh-huh. Yep.
Or, any Klingon stuff. It didn't have Worf in it, but the that really great one where they attacked the albino.
Oh yeah, Blood Oath.
Oh yeah, Blood Oath.
Yeah,
great episode. Yeah, you can find that wherever you're listening to this. All of our past episodes and future episodes, if this is in the future. If you want to leave us a comment, you can do that on YouTube. My name is Fletcher. About to say hello is Data, or goodbye is Data.
Hello.
And goodbye.
Yeah, that one too.
You say hello. Wait, no, that's not how it goes. So yeah, we look forward to seeing you next week. But just remember, I try.
What the? Okay.
That was a line from the episode.
Was it? Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.